Good morning. It is 6 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? My name's Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You can watch the show. We are live across a multitude of platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and our personal favorite, YouTube. No matter what platform you are watching on, it would greatly help the reach of the show if you would hit like, hit share, and send the show to your friends. We do appreciate it when you do. Why would I want to watch a radio show on TV? Well, because for all the video element, for all the audio elements you hear on the radio, we'll have video on the stream. I couldn't get that out. I was doing it backwards the entire time. Did you see the video I posted on Instagram this morning? Did you?
Spaghetti
No,
Gate.
I didn't. Spaghetti Gate.
Oh no!
So I was tasked with a homeschool lesson.
Ooh.
And Brooks, my 7-year-old's been learning about the body.
Yeah.
So I said everything's connected. And I told him, you know, when you laugh, milk comes out of your nose, but the other way works too. He said, what? And I said, we're eating spaghetti. I said, wipe the sauce off that spaghetti. And you know, Brooks, he's fearless.
Yeah.
This is the kid who was, he was 2 and he had to get stitches because he bumped his head on the playground and he laughed while he was getting stitches. This is Brooks.
Oh, whoa.
This is Brooks for you.
Tough dude.
So I said, take the piece of spaghetti and just. And he goes, and what will happen, Dad? I said, it'll come out the mouth. He said, what? So he did it.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing you've ever seen. So that's on my Instagram story at Chris Hand on Air.
That's so good.
Hit the follow button while you're over on Instagram for more homeschooling tips from me.
I was like, I never do it with spaghetti, but we tricked my friend into doing it at school with a piece of string.
Oh, really?
And so that was his new bit. Every time he'd walk around to class, he'd pull it and he'd thread it through.
Oh,
like that.
That's crazy.
He's sitting here like this, I'm so
between the
cool.
nose and the mouth, what a nut.
Yeah. So he went up to our teacher one time and pretended to sneeze, and he goes, oh no, and had a piece of string hanging out of his mouth and his nose, and she freaked out for a second. Was like, take that out.
That's hilarious. I just remember it was
you're
Jackass or it
overpaying
was
for your health and
CKY.
wellness.
Do you remember CKY?
I think so.
That might be a little bit ahead of your time.
Yeah, it might be right before me. It sounds familiar, though.
CKY was Jackass before they got the MTV deal.
Oh, okay.
And they were doing it with earthworms.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
Nice wriggling around.
we didn't go that far.
Yeah.
We could have.
Yes.
But again, follow me on Instagram for more homeschooling tips at Chris Hand on Air. We got a big show today. Very excited. We got some very, very smart ladies joining the show. Monica Page, our White House reporter for Frontlines and Turning Point USA. She's going to join us live from the North Lawn at 10:05 to wrap up what has been a wild couple of weeks at the White House. We signed on Monica Page to do every Friday. And by sign on, I mean, I said, hey, Monica, do you want to do this every Friday? And she said, sure. There's no exchanging of anything, but it's official. So he said, we're going to do it every Friday. And then last Friday, she was on a bachelorette party because she's getting married. And then this Friday's Good Friday. And so
We're doing it today.
we're doing it today. But I swear to you, at a certain point, it will be every Friday. And then Savannah Hernandez is going to join the show. She's going to join at 10:35. Sav has a wild story. She has said that she's going to make it her life mission to expose activist judges that are reducing the bond for criminals. And she's starting in Texas. She has a wild story, but it kind of goes in line with a lot of the things that we've been talking about this week when it comes to the Austin Metcalf story and Carmelo Anthony. And how the bond was reduced, right? And it was, what was it, $1 million, and it was reduced down to about $300,000. So Carmelo Anthony stabs a kid at a track meet, kills him. He bleeds out in his brother's arms, and he's out on $30K. The Carmelo Anthony story is especially disturbing when you realize that the family has taken all the money from the GoFundMe that they raised, and they've bought a new car, and they're renting a $900,000 house now. And friends of Carmelo Anthony are now selling merch. So all you have to do is kill a kid at a high school, and you cash out and get your bond reduced. It's actually disgusting what's happening there. But then we had a story in Nashville as well, where we had what I will go on record as saying looks to me like an activist judge, Judge Khadijah Babb, lowering the bond of a guy who raped 2 girls at gunpoint. Why? And I think it's important to ask the question, in this post-Black Lives Matter, post-George Floyd world that we're living in, you know, they would throw white privilege around left and right. Is there now a black privilege in the court system? And we're going to have a long conversation with Savannah Hernandez about that. If you know anything about Sav, she doesn't hold back. She's not afraid to tell the truth, and that's why we love her. So she's going to join the show at 10:35. As far as we go, where I want to go right now is, well, the biggest story that the Democrats have been making the biggest story, and they're fools for making this a big story. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. You may know him as Maryland Man, but what we know him as on the conservative side is terrorist MS-13, wife-abusing gang member who is now in El Salvador. He's an El Salvadorian citizen. He's in El Salvador. One of the big things yesterday, when this became the massive talking point that the Democrats wanted it to be, was there's no receipts. You don't have any court documents. Where's the proof? Well, Pam Bondi brought those receipts last night, and the receipts are as follows. He was confirmed as MS-13 by a Maryland police gang unit. He was confirmed by a reliable informant, ICE officers, an immigration judge agreed, and an appellate board agreed. And there's so much more coming out about Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Michael Patrick Leahy from the Tennessee Star was on with Dan earlier this morning. They have a massive story that they've broken that gives our old friend Kilmar, Maryland Man, ties right here in Tennessee, which we'll cover as well. But Pam Bondi bringing the receipts yesterday, posting them publicly on X for all to see at AG Bondi, at AG Pam Bondi. We are releasing additional information on Kilmar Abrego Garcia, and she brought the receipts. So, again, anybody who says they haven't proved it, now you can just show them one tweet, and it's all there. Pam Bondi joined Fox News last night to discuss the receipts that she brought to the table because the Democrats are just big mad, and they don't want to believe it.
Screen a timeline because there seems to be, in the media especially, a narrative that is completely and totally and utterly false regarding, quote, Mr. Garcia. And not one but two courts actually said he was an MS-13 gang member and identified him as such. Can you please explain what you know about him?
Yeah, Sean, factually, this is an extremely disturbing case. And as a career prosecutor, it is even more disturbing. Every American tonight should be thanking Donald Trump for making America safer by getting this guy out of our country. I'm going to call him a terrorist because he has been designated as a member of a terrorist organization. So this illegal alien terrorist came into our country illegally in March of 2012. We know that because he admitted that when he was stopped in 2019 by the anti-gang squad. They stopped him at a Home Depot with 3 other members. And here's what's very important. He was wearing a sweatshirt with gang insignia on it. The guy he was with, another MS-13 known member, had a tattoo with very similar insignia on it. ICE declared him as a member of MS-13. The police officers, the gang unit, declared him as a member of MS-13, and also they independently went to a reliable, confidential informant who said not only is he a member of MS-13, he gave them the clique, the Westerns, and he was called a Chiqueo, which is one of the higher-ranking MS-13 members.
There's no proof, screams the left. There's no proof. They only got him because he was wearing a Chicago Bulls hat. Chicago Bulls. That's it. That's all they got on Kilmar, the Maryland Man. No, that's not true. And in fact, I don't know how much you know about these gang units, but these guys, the police officers in the gang units are unbelievable. And yeah, they identified him down to his set, down to his specific clique. And they identified other members that were with him and the association that they had with other cliques as well. He had rolls of cash on him. There were drugs found on him. The insignia on his sweatshirt, the hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, MS-13, absolutely affiliated. I think that you can put it to rest that he wasn't an MS-13 gang member. Leftists are going to have a hard time dealing with this one, and that's okay. Personally, I'm fully convinced at this point that the Trump administration had a lot of this information and we're just waiting for the Democrats to overplay their hand. They were waiting for the Democrats to step in it because Donald Trump, once again, has them fighting battles where he wants them to fight. Donald Trump is just been so good at this, even during the campaign, bringing the Democrats where he wants to bring them and then nailing them. Like, he just corners them, and he paints them into a corner, and then they're screwed. And we saw that yesterday. We saw that with Senator Van Hollen, the Maryland senator who decided to go all the way to El Salvador only to be blocked by El Salvador. And yes, for those asking, Senator Van Hollen out of Maryland, his trip to El Salvador was absolutely funded by U.S. taxpayer dollars. It is standard for congressional travel that taxpayer dollars will fund that for trips aimed at diplomacy or constituent services like advocating for Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Yes, it's taxpayer money. And what did he accomplish? Well, he accomplished a whole lot of nothing. There was a big press conference that they had with Senator Van Hollen, and it's embarrassing. The whole thing is embarrassing. So they have all these reporters around him, and if you're watching on the stream, you'll get the visual. But you have a translator standing directly behind Senator Van Hollen. So you'll have all of these reporters move the microphone to Van Hollen and then immediately shift them behind Van Hollen's back to hear what the translator had to say.
This is an unsustainable and unjust moment, so it cannot continue this way.
Microphones all switch to the translator. So now the translator does her thing. And then wait for it.
I also
back to Van Hollen.
told his wife and family that...
So this press conference that he was supposed to do, it was supposed to take like a minute and a half if you edit it all down. But I wanted to show you the mic moves because it was embarrassing on the live stream. But this is what he said in a more condensed, edited version. This is Senator Van Hollen on how he got shut the bleep down by El Salvador yesterday.
I also told his wife and family that I would try to meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia while I was here.
Didn't work.
So I asked the vice president if I could meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia. And he said, well, you need to make earlier provisions to go visit CCOT. I said, I'm not interested at this moment in taking a tour of CCOT. I just want to meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia. He said he was not able to make that happen. He said he needed a little more time. I asked him if I came back next week, whether I'd be able to see Mr. Abrego Garcia.
On another taxpayer-funded trip, mind you.
He said he couldn't promise that either. So I asked him if I could get on the phone, either a video phone or just a phone, and talk to Mr. Abrego Garcia. So I could just ask him how he's doing so I could report back to his family. He said he could not arrange that. He said maybe if the American embassy were to ask, maybe that could happen. So I will certainly ask the American embassy to ask the government of El Salvador to connect us by phone. I asked him how about his family? How can he talk to his wife so that she can hear his voice? I let him know that the family has requested that.
Yeah, his poor wife, the one that he allegedly repeatedly abused and beat from 2021 or 2019 to 2021, that wife.
He said he was not sure whether he could make that happen. So we have an unjust situation here.
Yeah, we do have an unjust situation, don't we? When Democrat senators care more about illegal alien MS-13 gang member terrorists than they do about their own constituents. And it's a lot. It's not just Senator Van Hollen. Let's not we can absolutely roast this guy. It's very, very easy to do. But it's the entire mainstream media apparatus that has been absolutely losing it over this story and disgraceful in their reporting, and the Democrats disgraceful in their lies. We have so much more to go on this. And Senator Van Hollen gave a report when he got back to his hotel room. He's very upset, but he says, don't worry, Kilmar. More Democrats are going to take more taxpayer-funded trips to come save you. The man who allegedly beat his wife, the man who's an MS-13 gang member, was arrested with other MS-13 gang members. Again, this man was, the receipts were brought, identified by a Maryland County Police gang unit, identified by a confidential informant, identified by ICE officers, an immigration judge, and an appellate board, all of them, that he was an MS-13 gang member. It must have been a mistake. Somebody must have got it wrong somewhere. I don't think so. I don't think so. Yet the Democrats will continue to fight and continue to resist the orange man by defending an MS-13 gang member. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see how it works out for him. We got a lot more to go. It's 9:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, they're going to take care of you. And if you're living with back pain, knee pain, or nerve pain, it's time for you to listen up. Talk to Dr. Mitchell. Talk to Dr. Ashley. The Wellness Institute of Nashville is changing lives with non-surgical, drug-free treatments that will target the root cause of your pain. Forget the pills. Skip the surgery. These guys specialize in spinal decompression, a high-tech therapy that will actually heal your spine and nerves naturally. Dr. Mitchell, he's trained across the globe. Dr. Ashley is an expert in holistic healing and advanced chiropractic care. Whether it's sciatica, neuropathy, herniated discs, they've got real solutions. And right now, for a limited time, the Big 47 offer is happening, and you'll get 47% off that spinal decompression. Don't waste another day living in pain. Call 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, or visit painisbad.com. The sooner you do this, the sooner you feel better. Painisbad.com.
Up ahead here on Super Talk 99.7, the Tennessee senator standing firm on the Trump tariffs and what the White House has just done to turn the screws on Harvard again. Those stories coming up here at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Wouldn't normally do this, Joan.
Yeah.
I believe it's pronounced Harvard.
I'm sorry. It's Harvard.
Thank you.
I'll work on that.
I appreciate it. You're one of the best. I don't want anybody to feel like you're slipping. It's 9:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Ann. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with your friends. We appreciate it however you do it. Did you see the headline for the Babylon Bee? Did you see that?
No.
Okay, so the Babylon Bee, if you're watching on Super Talk TV, you'll see the headline. It says, American hostages in Gaza disguise themselves as MS-13 gang members so Democrats will fight to bring them home.
Oh, ouch.
Oh, the truth hurts, and the Democrats have been fighting to bring these guys home. Enter Senator Van Hollen. Senator Van Hollen out of Maryland. He's very upset that the government of El Salvador wouldn't let him come and meet that dear old Maryland dad, who, of course, has beaten his wife quite a few times and was, identified positively multiple times as an MS-13 gang member. And that kind of makes him a terrorist now. But listen, let's not, the devil's in the details. Let's not get caught up on all that. Let's hear from Senator Van Hollen.
Is just a gross violation of basic human rights and human decency. And, I asked the vice president if I came back next week, whether or not I could go visit Kilmar. And the answer was no, he couldn't guarantee that. I said, look, I may be the first member of Congress here, the first senator, but I can assure you more will be coming. And you cannot continue to keep this man locked up in this worst prison in El Salvador.
Yeah, well, except they can. Except they absolutely can keep him locked up in that prison. I mean, that's tough. The truth is a tough thing to deal with. He says more Democrats are going to be coming. More taxpayer-funded trips by Democrats for that Maryland man. Viva la resistance. I don't know if more Democrats are going to come. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know, even as dumb as some of these Democrats are, I think the calculations may have changed since yesterday when they dropped all these receipts and all this new news coming out. Also, with the invitation of Patty Murrin to the press conference from Carolyn Levitt yesterday, if you're a Democrat and you're going to go visit Kilmar Abrego Garcia after what Patty Murrin said yesterday, well, then you are as dumb as we thought you are. Patty Murrin, I have met this woman. She is just incredibly brave, incredibly strong, and she's an inspiration. And I'm not just blowing smoke. Patty Murrin is not in this for anyone other than Rachel, and she's not in this for anything else other than making sure that what happened to her daughter never happens to another family again. And she had some things to say about Senator Van Hollen's visit to El Salvador.
To have a senator from Maryland who didn't even acknowledge or barely acknowledged my daughter and the brutal death that she endured, leaving her 5 children without a mother and now a grandbaby without a grandmother, so that he can use my taxpayer money to fly to El Salvador to bring back someone that's not even an American citizen. Why does that person have more right than I do, or my daughter, or my grandchildren? I don't understand this.
We don't understand it either, to be perfectly honest with you. What we're seeing is disgraceful at levels we didn't think we could reach. We joke about the dumb stuff, but the actual human element of this is simply vile. And the mainstream, it's not just the Democrats, it's the mainstream media. The coverage of the conviction of Rachel Murrin's murder versus the coverage of that dear old Maryland dad is it's not even in the same ballpark. On NBC, ABC, and CBS evening and morning show coverage, the Rachel Murrin trial has had 0 seconds of coverage while as the Maryland man being deported has had 64 minutes and 57 seconds of coverage. It's awful. They don't want you to hear Patty Marin's story. They don't want you to hear what happened to Rachel Marin. Here at WTN, we're happy to bring you that. We're happy to share that story so that way it hopefully doesn't happen to somebody else. I'm going to bring you the heartbreaking testimony of Patty Marin when we get back right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 9:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. There's a crash on Blue Hole Road at Antioch Middle School this morning, causing some delays this morning and some concern as well. Careful in that area. The Trump administration is going after Harvard University. Make that Harvard University once again.
There you
Department
go.
of Homeland Security is demanding that Harvard University turn over disciplinary records on all its foreign students and saying that if it refuses to do so, it will revoke the university's ability to enroll those students. There are right now about 7,000 international students at Harvard University.
That's ABC's Jonathan Karl. Just this week, the administration yanked 2 DHS grants totaling over $2.7 million to Harvard, declaring it unfit to be entrusted with taxpayer dollars. Tennessee U.S. Senator Bill Hagerty says his office gets about 1 call per hour from Tennessee employers and people who import items from China over President Trump's tariffs. But Hagerty says there's good reason to renegotiate these outdated trade deals.
It goes back to World War II, when the United States put in place very favorable terms of trade for countries like, countries in Europe, countries like Japan, whose economies had been devastated. We did that because we wanted them to rebuild their economies, not turn toward communism, and to work with us.
Appearing on the Dan Manda Show this morning, Hagerty says he reminds everyone this is the early phases of negotiations and to be patient. A former contractor for the FAA has pleaded guilty to spying for Iran and for sharing private information on U.S. airports and the solar industry. 42-year-old Abuzar Ramadi, who is a naturalized citizen, pleaded guilty to downloading information on a flash drive in 2022 and handing it over to Iranian officials. Want to feel like a real slacker? A 10-year-old from San Bernardino, California, is set to graduate from a local college, Crafton Hills College, with 2 associate's degrees. Alyssa Perales is a homeschool girl. She began taking college classes when she was 8. She plans to work in the artificial intelligence tech industry. That's the latest news. Weather's up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Spring is here, and Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling is bringing the savings for you. Spring rebate madness, and right now you can cash in on some serious rebates. $800 back on a mini split or 17-SEER heat pump. $500 back on a 15 or 16-SEER heat pump, $300 back for duct sealing or repair, and $50 back for each tune-up you schedule. Now, here's the smart move. This is the play, okay? You join the Beehive Club, you get your spring tune-up, you collect that $50 rebate. Then when the fall rolls around, you get another $50 rebate. That's $100 back, which will essentially cover your Beehive membership for the year. And Busy Bee makes it easy. They're going to handle all that rebate paperwork for you. And Beehive members get those 3 annual tune-ups, 10% off all repairs, priority front-of-the-line service, no overtime or holiday fees, and $100 annual replacement credit, maxing out at about $1,000. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Call them today, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, busybeehvac.com.
to have a senator from Maryland who didn't even acknowledge or barely acknowledge my daughter and the brutal death that she endured, leaving her 5 children without a mother and now a grandbaby without a grandmother, so that he can use my taxpayer money to fly to El Salvador to bring back someone that's not even an American citizen. Why does that person have more right than I do, or my daughter, or my grandchildren? I don't understand this.
Nobody understands it. It's infuriating. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. That was Patty Marin, the mother of Rachel Marin. She was at the White House press briefing yesterday detailing the horrific nature of the crimes that were committed against her daughter. And the juxtaposition of how the Democrats are so outraged over an illegal alien, MS-13, gang member terrorist being deported back to his home country, yet there's no outrage when Rachel Marin is murdered viciously by those gang members. None. No outrage. No calls from the senator. None. Nothing. Not even a peep. Yet they'll spend taxpayer money, the same taxpayer money that Rachel Marin paid into, the same taxpayer money that Patty Marin is paying into. That's fine. They'll use that taxpayer money, no problem, to go down there for this performative art of visiting Kilmar Abrego Garcia. And Senator Van Hollen did that on the taxpayer dime, and he got denied. Shocking. Are you shocked by that? Nobody is shocked by that. What happened yesterday in El Salvador is nothing short of disgusting. It's disgusting. Let's be perfectly honest. Let's call it what it is. Vile. When they say that Democrats only have a 21% approval rating, that's way too high. You understand that, right? Like, that, far too high. This is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen the Democrats do. And that's saying something. I mean, right? Like we can all agree, like, that's what we understand how bad these Democrats are. It's awful. We've played a lot of Patty Marin audio. Just for the record, I love Patty Marin. I don't think that she's in this for anything other than her daughter and to make sure that this never happens to another American family again. And I think that her heart is in the exact place it needs to be. And she shows just stunning bravery and composure in light of what she reveals at this press briefing. I don't know if this happened to my daughter, if I could be half as brave as Patty Marin. I just don't think I could be. And I would hope that I could do what she did yesterday. But the way she explains what happened to Rachel and the way she explains what she learned in the courtroom about what happened to Rachel and the way she holds it all together in that press briefing room, nothing short of stunning. Just it was a moment that left even the reporters that were there speechless. Now, this is a bit longer than we normally play for audio clips, right? And I understand that. This is it's worth playing, though. It's absolutely worth playing because this message needs to get out there. And when you look at the lack of coverage from the mainstream media of the Rachel Marin trial, and then the overwhelming coverage that Kilmar Abrego Garcia has received, you have to listen to the pain in Patty's voice. You have to. And I don't think the mainstream media is going to touch this with a 10-foot pole. And even this morning, and it's like, and I get it on morning drive. You got young kids in the car. This audio couldn't be played because of how graphic it is. It's it is dark, and I don't know how else to put it. It's unbelievable. If you got young kids in the car, this is probably not for them. But I do think this is something the American people need to hear. And if you didn't hear this yesterday, we're going to play you what Patty Marin learned in the courtroom that happened to her daughter, Rachel Marin.
Parts of her brain hemorrhaged. Her right and left side of her face bashed in. Her beautiful face bashed in. Her head bashed in. Broken bones, fractures. He takes and he drags her. Some more. He drags her through the thorn bushes. She has all the scrapes and cuts on her body. There wasn't 1 inch of her body that didn't have some kind of injury, whether it's bruising, broken bones, contusions, the scratches. She had a fractured rib, fractured nose, fractured skull. And then he takes her into the tunnel and he picks her up. He throws her against the wall. Blood is gushing from her head. Her hair is soaked in blood. And they showed us pictures of her body against the wall, outlined. The blood outlined her body. And you could see where the blood ran down around her as he was raping her. And then he threw her down and raped her some more. And then he strangled her because he didn't want her to be able to live to tell the story. They said that when they did the autopsy on her neck, that one of the things they do is they open up the neck and they look to see how far the injury is. And they went all the way down as far as an injury is possible, hemorrhaging in the muscles because of how strong and violent the group was around her. These are the kind of people that have no compulsion. Like, to them, this is nothing. And when he was sitting in the courtroom, he actually looked like he thought he was going to be set free. There was no remorse on his face at all. This person took my daughter so violently and so gruesomely and so graphically that they sealed the pictures, because I don't want my granddaughters to see these pictures. These are the kind of criminals President Trump wants to remove from our country. These are the kind of criminals that we need to remove from our country. We are American citizens. Why should we allow people like this, violent criminals that have no conscience at all, to murder our mothers, our sisters, our daughters? What? I don't understand why there's even any kind of problem with this.
There shouldn't be a problem with wanting to get these monsters out. There shouldn't be a problem with wanting to remove these animals from our country, these animals that shouldn't have been here in the first place. But the Democrats make it seem like this is a major issue. Oh, my due process. My due process. Now, again, the coverage of the Rachel Marin trial versus the coverage of Kilmar Abrego Garcia has been just eye-opening. 0 seconds for Rachel Marin's trial, over an hour for Kilmar Abrego Garcia on ABC, CBS, NBC. That press briefing yesterday with Carolyn Levitt and Patty Marin, they didn't even air that on CNN or MSNBC. I wonder why. I wonder why. And politicians refuse to even acknowledge the existence of Patty Marin in Maryland. Yet they have the audacity to fly to El Salvador to petition for a gang member who shouldn't be in this country in the first place. You don't hate these people enough. These people don't care about you or your family. They don't. They put it on display every single day. This is a shock to some. And you have people online defending the left and defending Kilmar Abrego Garcia and ignoring the absolute real human tragedy that has come as a result of the Biden open border. It's vile. It's absolutely vile. And Senator Van Hollen, somebody needs to primary that loser. He shouldn't work in politics. Tom Homan was asked about Senator Van Hollen yesterday. This is on Fox, and he was talking about Van Hollen.
He wasn't abducted. He's an MS-13 gang member, classified as a terrorist that was removed from this country. So we got rid of a dangerous person, an El Salvadoran national, was returned to the country of El Salvador, so he's home. We removed him from the United States. He's a public safety threat, and that's exactly what should have happened. And I'm just disgusted that any congressional representative is going to run to El Salvador at his aid. When yesterday, I read in his state, an illegal alien charged with murder was released back into the community, and not the ICE detainer wasn't honored, and ICE had to go find him.
Another one.
In his state. In his state. The murder of Rachel Murrin yesterday. Listen to the testimony and listen to the mother on Handy last night. If you're not human, then your heart wasn't broken. It's just in his state. But rather than taking care of the constituents in his state, the victims of illegal crime in his state, he's going to run to El Salvador to protect an MS-13 terrorist. It's just disgusting.
Disgusting is honestly the nicest way to put it. It's the nicest way to put it. So something like this should have never happened on so many different levels. Rachel Marin should still be here if we just enforced the laws on the books and the border. The fact that Democrats are flying to El Salvador to stick up for MS-13 gang members should never happen. Yet here we are. And the media won't cover it, honestly. The media won't even reveal what happened to Rachel Marin. They won't even cover her trial. Yet the people that are supposed to represent the Marins, they have an easier time representing MS-13 gang members. This is the Democrat Party. This is the current state of the Democrat Party. It's crazy to me, man. It's crazy. It's heartbreaking. And after that heartbreaking testimony at the press briefing by Patty Marin, Carolyn Levitt says, does anybody have any questions? And something like this had never happened before. The press briefing room was just silent, stunned, almost shook. I think shook would be a good word after hearing Patty's testimony.
Any questions for Patty or for me? No?
I have a question.
No? Anybody? Okay. We'll see you all later. The president will be at his dinner later this evening. Thank you.
Thank you for being here this morning.
We really appreciate it.
It's stunning. It's stunning. And then Patty had one more thing to say.
I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you. Please tell the truth.
Please tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Yeah. Tell how violent it really is. This is about protecting our children. It's more than just politics or votes or just anything. It's about national security, protecting Americans, protecting our children. Thank you. And thank you for listening. Thank you for being here.
The biggest takeaway that those members of the press should have from Patty Marin is when she looked him dead in the eye and said, please tell the truth. Please tell the truth. It's 9:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand here for my friend Shane Ring over at Cover Nash. And if you're tired of sky-high health insurance costs, listen up. Shane Ring at Cover Nash has a brand new option that could change the game for you. There's a new plan on the market that will bring your deductible down to just $250. That's right. Just $250. Not $5,000. Not $8,000. $250. And the best part, you don't have to wait for open enrollment. Shane can help you switch today and start saving money right now. You see, Shane's been doing this for over 20 years. He'll shop the entire market for you, over 75 different companies, to find the best fit for your budget and health needs. Whether you're self-employed, between jobs, or just plain old overpaying, Shane could be saving you 30 to 60% on your premiums. Stop overpaying and call Shane Ring today at 615-465-0023, or you can hit covernash.com. You know me, I'm a phone call kind of guy. 615-465-0023. Affordable, quality coverage managed by you, not the government. Covernash.com.
Services.com. Massive services. Expect.
Did Kilmar Abrego Garcia slip through state troopers' hands 3 years ago? We've got a report. Also, what Nashville schools are telling parents about a possible measles outbreak. Those stories coming up here at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I know. Isn't that a wild part of the story? Kilmar Abrego Garcia having a Tennessee connection. Dan had an awesome interview with Michael Patrick Leahy this morning that I know that they podcasted. If you missed it, it's on Apple or Spotify. Definitely worth the listen.
Oh, yeah.
After 12. It's a great listen.
Yeah.
It's a great listen. But we got a lot to cover here on the show, and we got a lot of great guests on the way. Monica Page is going to be joining us at 10:05. She's going to be reporting live from the White House North Lawn, giving us an update on what's been happening at the White House, what the vibe was in the room yesterday. She was there when Patty Marin was giving her heartbreaking testimony. What was it like for the leftist reporters that were there as they exited that room? Did they feel shame, or did it just roll off their back and they went on back to saying Orange Man bad? These are questions that I have, and I'm curious to find out from Monica. She'll be joining the show at 10:05. And then we have Savannah Hernandez. She's joining the show at 10:35. Sav's always fantastic. She's got a banger of a story. There's a Texas judge who has reduced the bond on about, what is it, like hundreds of violent offenders, murderers, and let them walk the streets before their trials. And in some of those cases, this judge has essentially gotten people killed. So Sav joins us at 10:35 to talk about that. Monica Page joins us from the White House right after Joan Jones' newscast, which starts right now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 10 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're at 60 degrees right now. We'll get a little bit warmer here to 78 later on this afternoon with some sunshine. We've got more in your forecast coming up right after the news. A chance encounter between Tennessee Highway Patrol officers in 2022. It happened on I-40 in Putnam County, and it involved the now famous Maryland man.
Driving erratically, unable to maintain its lane, and also speeding. So they pulled him over. The driver was, in fact, the same, quote, Maryland man, the El Salvador illegal who was deported.
The Tennessee Star's Michael Patrick Leahy there speaking with Dan Mandis this morning. He says officers suspected Kilmar Abrego Garcia was trafficking his passengers, but they were ordered by the FBI to let them go. The FBI has not responded to the Tennessee Star's requests for an explanation. The rate of autism in Tennessee kids has doubled over the past decade, according to Vanderbilt University's study that was revealed yesterday, claiming, though, that the rise is due to greater awareness and better testing. But HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says that explanation only covers a small portion of diagnoses. He says autism is preventable and has an environmental cause.
Instead of listening to this canard of epidemic denial, all you have to do is start reading a little science, because the answer is very clear. And this is catastrophic for our country. These are kids that this is a preventable disease.
RFK Jr. has launched an effort to find the cause by the end of September. A new lawsuit filed by the ACLU over books that have been removed from school shelves in Rutherford County. 145 books have been banned in the schools, all of them considered inappropriate. The lawsuit claims the board didn't even read the books before taking them off the shelves. Nashville schools are sending out an information sheet to parents now as measles cases continue to grow. In Texas, 4 cases were reported in Tennessee.
All districts in Tennessee have to follow these same rules. If there's a case, they have to call anyone who is susceptible and then send an email to the rest of the school.
Channel 4's Alexandria Adams there. Kids who are not fully vaccinated or who have a medical or religious exemption may be kicked out of school until there's no more risk of them getting sick. Hamas is facing a cash problem, the Wall Street Journal reporting that terrorist organization has been devastated by the targeted Israeli military attacks. The Journal says Hamas has stopped paying its terrorist fighters. And the job market continues to defy economist expectations here in the U.S.
215,000 applications for state jobless benefits were submitted last week, 9,000 fewer than the week before. The less volatile 4-week moving average likewise has dropped back. The Labor Department found the highest unemployment rates in New Jersey, Rhode Island, and California.
ABC's Jim Ryan there. Stocks are trading lower today. That's the latest news. Weather's up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Six minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand here. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Very, very excited about my next guest joining us. It has been a busy few days at the White House. So Monica Page is taking us behind the fence. And she's live from the White House North Lawn. Monica Page, how are you, Monica?
Hey, Chris. Great to speak with you. It's a beautiful day here. Finally, we had so much rain last week, but now we finally have some sun and a little bit warmer than it was last week for sure. So we're feeling pretty good.
Well, that's awesome. And congratulations on having a very successful bachelorette party. It looked like you guys had a blast in Destin.
Oh, yeah. That's actually my first time in Destin, and it is great. Honestly, Chris, it is like a different world because everyone down there, no matter who you talk to, love President Trump. They love Turning Point. They love it. It was great. I mean, everyone made me feel really special. So that's also really exciting, too. But it was beautiful. It's a great little getaway.
That's Gulf of America country down there.
That's true. We played around the Gulf of America. It was great.
I love it. I love it. Well, I mean, you've had a lot to get back to this week. It's been a wild week so far. We're not even finished yet. You got a lot happening today at the White House, but I want to start with what happened yesterday at the White House. You were in the press briefing room when Patty Marin was there, revealing details about the case of her daughter, Rachel Marin, that had never been revealed before. And it left a White House press brief room stunned. And I don't think I've ever seen that before. What was the vibe like in the room as Patty Marin was revealing those details?
Oh, Chris, it was absolutely gut-wrenching to hear her story and to just explain and really outline in detail what happened to her daughter, Rachel. And it's stunning the fact that the Maryland senator decided that he didn't even want to call and offer condolences. He decided he wanted to go purposely to El Salvador and visit one of the MS-13 gang members and try to bring him back here. So the vibe in the room was absolutely, it was just it was more than just quiet. It was depressing. There was like a solemn cloud over the entire briefing room. But I honestly, Chris, I just wish that I could just, I don't know, feeling how I felt in that briefing room and knowing that probably not a member of the press probably felt the same way. Just because they've been reporting on the stories the wrong way. And then at the end, you hear the reporters apologizing to Patty. It's like, okay, that's couldn't even be more fake. I mean, you're apologizing to this woman. Meanwhile, you've been reporting on trying to bring back this gang member. It doesn't make any sense to me. Save your apologies. You're too little, too late. This woman lost her daughter and these kids lost their mother. So to just sit there and be like, we're so sorry, save it. Honestly, like these people voted for what happened to Rachel. And it's hypocritical. It really kind of infuriates me to sit there and listen and watch these reporters try to act so self-righteous and so sorry. It's so fake. It's so fake, and it's infuriatingly fake.
Yeah, and you kind of stole my next question because I was wondering, do any of these leftist reporters have a come to Jesus moment after that impassioned speech from Patty? Do they realize the error of their ways, or is it just like, back to business?
Well, you want to hope so, right? You want to hope that somebody has a little bit of a heart or a conscience and maybe change the way that they want to report on these stories of these illegal criminal aliens. Let's call them what they are. But I honestly don't know where they go from here. I mean, honestly, I think I'm going to start tuning in a little bit more than I normally do, which is never, to see, how they decide to report on these stories. I don't think they're going to stop. I don't think they're going to change their ways. I'd like to think so, maybe, benefit of the doubt. But at the end of the day, this is the reality of it. And I'm glad that Patty came into the press briefing room and kind of humanized this issue for all of us. I mean, obviously, we know the true tragedy of what this is, but CNN, MSNBC, they've been really missing the mark on this. So you want to hope so.
Yeah, and the thing about Patty, and I know you've probably met her before. I met her at AmFest. She is so genuine and has such a gentle spirit, and she's not in this for anything other than Rachel and making sure this doesn't happen for other families.
Yeah, she said herself, she said, this isn't political. This isn't Democrat versus Republican. These are real issues. These are criminal gang members. We should be politicizing crime. This is an American life, a woman who is a mother, and this is this mother's daughter. And it's truly gut wrenching. And, you don't wish these things on anybody, on any American, on our own soil that this happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was tough. It was really, really tough.
Yet it seems like the mainstream media doesn't want to cover that story at all. In fact, the New York Times, instead of covering Rachel Marin's trial, they actually covered the fact that you were in the press briefing room. There was a hit piece out on you in the New York Times, wasn't there?
Yeah, I have a bone to pick with New York Times, and they didn't even tag me in it. If you're going to attack me, at least tag me in something, just so
failing
let
New
me
York
know.
Times.
Yeah, the failing New York Times. They've did a whole interactive story on all the new members of the media. Meanwhile, I've been covering this White House, not this president, but this I've been here for 2 years. I covered the last year and a half of Joe Biden, and I've been here since President Trump took office. So I'm not necessarily new to the game here, but to cover us in such an entertaining way, I kind of think that there's something to that. Like I'm wearing that with like a badge of honor. I mean, to go through they when you scroll through, you can kind of see they did some time lapse of the press briefing room where you can see me just standing there talking to some of my colleagues as the room fills up, and they think that that's a bad thing. Sorry that I'm eager to get into the press briefing room and ready to ask my questions and just doing my job. And they're trying to make it like a bad thing. They actually came out with an Instagram post or an Instagram reel, I think overnight as well, kind of highlighting that I'm echoing right-wing narratives and right-wing talking points. Meanwhile, what they played in that video was me saying that not one single Democrat senator voted to keep men out of women's sports. That's not a talking point. That's a fact. It's a
Yep.
simple Google search. So if that's all they got, that's sad.
Yeah.
Report on the real news.
Yeah, and you've been busy. I mean, you're getting hit pieces from the New York Times. You're interviewing Tom Homan yesterday on the White House lawn. What's it like getting to meet with Tom Homan and hear him discussing his successes on the border?
Oh, he's spectacular. He's a great human being inside and out. And I've had the privilege to speak to him behind the scenes, at AmFest, which you were at. He's fantastic. He's a father, he has kids, and it's a shame what the left is putting him through, because he's just trying to do his job. He's just trying to make Americans safe. And the fact that he has to, go to extreme measures to protect his family, protect himself from these lunatics that really want to put an end to what President Trump and the administration is doing, it's sad. And to hear him, explain and walk us through some of the steps that this administration is taking to keep Americans safe, it's baffling. And it's great. I mean, Tom Homan said he's been doing this since 1984, and he has not seen numbers this low. There is a 95% decrease in these apprehensions at the southern border. That's record-breaking.
Yep.
And I think it's a beautiful thing to see. We're finally keeping Americans safe. And there's a recent poll that came out, I believe it was the Washington Post that posted it, and it's 56% of Americans agree with these deportations. That's up significantly. I mean, back in 2016, it was around the 30 mark, 35% were in agreement of deportations. That's gone way up. They've seen what Joe Biden put us through the last 4 years, and they completely are subscribing. More people, more voters now are aligned with the MAGA movement than this time last year. And I think that says something.
Yeah. And I mean, there's also some wild numbers coming out of Yale about youth, the youth really being the kids are all right. They're big time in on the MAGA movement. Now with Tom Homan particularly, the deportation numbers we need to get up, but I think a lot of the issue is the sanctuary cities basically covering for these criminals. I know that Donald Trump is going to be signing executive orders this afternoon, 3 o'clock Central in the White House. Is there any chance that the executive orders he might sign today have to do with sanctuary cities?
It definitely could be. I know that's definitely on President Trump's agenda. If that's not today, it's got to be coming soon, because he's talked about this before. There's about 600 sanctuary jurisdictions throughout the entire country. I mean, obviously we know the big ones, New York, LA, Chicago, but there are little pockets in these states, in these little small towns where, they have been protected. And President Trump, as we know, has already signed an executive order banning illegal aliens from obtaining Social Security, which is another huge step. So this would be just another step to really crack down on illegal immigration, really crack down on these hot spots that have been going under the radar for the last 4 years and then some. So I'm definitely curious to see, what exactly is going to be going into this, how he plans on cracking down on this. Of course, I think that there are certain moves, because Tom Homan previewed this just this week, about the Democrat leaders who have been protecting them themselves. Like you've got the AOCs, you've got, these Chicago mayor, you got tons of Democrat leaders throughout the country protecting illegal aliens. And they might be facing some charges. They might face some lawsuits. So Tom Homan said himself, stay tuned, definitely stay updated, because something could be coming.
Do you think that the Democrats are dumb enough to go off and argue against an executive order banning sanctuary cities? Is this another 80-20 issue that they're going to lose?
Well, the Democrats, as we know, this is another losing issue for them. This is the best commercial for the Democrats, because I'm interested to see how this is going to fare for them in the midterms. If they're going to protect illegal aliens and protect what we've seen to our own Americans, this is going to not fare well for them. So if this is the hill that they're going to die on, good luck in the midterms, good luck in the next elections, because this is just yet another issue that they're on the wrong side of. I mean, if you're going to protect criminal illegal aliens who want to bring them back into the country, I don't know. That doesn't say that you are pro-America. You're America last.
Right. Is there any members of the press corps, the leftist reporters, who are kind of reading the writing on the wall and just like, oh, gosh, are you guys really defending this now? And then realizing that they have to go and defend it? Or is it just total ignorance when it comes to what's been happening?
I think it's total ignorance. I mean, when you see them in the press briefing room and they're just asking the same question over and over, they're asking the same question in 500 different ways. It gets exhausting, not only for us who, want real answers to our questions and are asking the real questions, but it's also exhausting to Caroline Leavitt. I mean, she's up there every single day saying, I've answered this already. And And I feel like the mainstream media who are asking these questions about Maryland Dad, as I like to call him, they're getting exhausted. I think they're getting beaten down. I think that they realize that nobody wants to hear what they're spewing. And I think this further brings audiences to outlets like yours and to outlets that really aren't the mainstream anymore. And I think that's a great thing. I think people are seeing right through the mainstream media reporter questions. Some of the questions that we hear, it's like, really, is that what we're really concerned about? But I think that it's just pure ignorance. I don't really think that they realize they're trying to be inclusive and they're trying to have an agenda. But at the end of the day, I'm glad that the American people are seeing firsthand what's happening in the briefing room, and the stupidity is shown for itself. The true colors are always shown.
Yeah, exactly. And another big news item today, we have the Italian Prime Minister coming to the White House. What can we expect?
Yeah, we got Giorgia Meloni, Italian Prime Minister, rolling up to the White House in about a half hour or so. She's expected to meet with President Trump to discuss trade, specifically tariffs, of course, likely immigration as well. I know that Meloni is coming here on behalf of the European Union to kind of negotiate some of these tariffs. So we'll definitely see what comes out of there. I know she is a big fan of President Trump, so it'll be a friendly face in the White House. They'll meet in the Oval Office this afternoon, have some bilateral meetings and lunch together before taking off. So we'll definitely expect to hear from President Trump later today on what comes out of this meeting. But I truly believe it will be a positive one.
What is the current state of the tariff negotiations that you're hearing from behind the scenes? We're hearing it's, it was 75 countries, now it's 130 countries. They're all trying to come to the table that we could be getting some tariff deals soon. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, from what I understand, China's upped their tariffs to 245% against the United States, which I think is absolutely hysterical, because President Trump knows exactly what he's doing when it comes to these tariffs and knows how to handle China. So that's the current state of what's happening with China. As far as the European Union, I think they're trying to go 0 for 0 tariffs, which would also be great. I think they're trying to negotiate there as far as clothing, electric vehicles, and other goods and services that Italy and the European Union provide. But there's still definitely plenty of talks. I know the president is also talking with Japan as well. So we're definitely expecting to see, just as the weeks continue and as more tariffs and more countries come to the table, we can definitely expect to hear more.
We're talking with Monica Page. She's the White House reporter for Turning Point USA. Is there any major story happening at the White House that has you going, why isn't this getting more attention?
Oh, that is a great question. Well, I think the President Trump's lawsuit against the state of Maine for still allowing men and women's sports, I think that's a very interesting topic as well. That's not going, that's pretty much underreported. I mean, it was announced yesterday, but not many people are talking about it. And not many people understand how hard the state of Maine has pushed back against the Trump administration, with multiple attorneys general coming out, writing these letters to President Trump saying they will defy the executive order to keep men and boys out of women's sports and spaces. I think see you in court. Let's see what this looks like, and let's get the ball rolling here.
Yeah.
I think that this state, Maine, and I believe California and Minnesota are other states that are looking to sue the Trump administration. But this Trump administration is going to fight back. It's common sense. It's not just conservative. It's common sense. And I think that's why so many people are on board with what the president is doing.
Amen. And I love the energy from you, Monica. We'll see you in court. Let's go. Monica Page, she is our White House reporter for Turning Point USA. Where can we keep up with you online, Monica?
Thank you so much, Chris. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Monica Page TV for all the latest happenings and updates to the president's schedule. Sure to keep you guys updated throughout the day.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on as always, and we'll talk to you next week, Monica. Have a great weekend and a happy Easter.
You too, Chris. Happy Easter. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. God bless. It's 10:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, he was nearly arrested 3 years ago. What the Tennessee Star has revealed about the deported MS-13 gang member at the center of a political controversy. That and more at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joan Jones in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, Water Filtration Systems, Water Softeners, BetterWater.com. Thank you again to our White House reporter, Monica Page, for joining the show. She's so dang good at this. Isn't she good? She's awesome.
She's wonderful.
And she's her energy, she's so positive. I'm a big fan of Monica. I got another just unbelievable lady coming up next, Savannah Hernandez. The story she has is wild. I don't want to do too much spoilers, but trust me when I tell you, you're going to be on the edge of your seat when we hear from Sav. She joins the show at 10:35. So Joan said she had this in the news, but I figured I'd just ruin it for her anyway. Tennessee Star breaking a huge story yesterday. Oh my gosh. So the illegal immigrant that the Democrats are so upset about, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Turns out he has a Tennessee connection. It was in 2022. He was stopped without driving a license, and the Tennessee Highway Patrol suspected him of trafficking the 7 people inside the car. And then Tennessee Highway Patrol learned he may be on a terrorist watch list, so they called the Biden FBI, and then they released him. Because why not? You don't need a license to drive in Tennessee, right? Why hold him for that?
Nobody knows that better than you,
right? Yeah, it's no big deal. That's just a technicality. If you're not a citizen of the country. If you're a citizen of the country, I can only assume that Tennessee Highway Patrol or the Biden FBI would say, bring that guy in for questioning. But no, not if you're an illegal alien. And meanwhile, the Democrats still think that they're right on all of this. And Scott Jennings, he had this takedown last night, and it's just Scott Jennings doing Scott Jennings things when it comes to Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
It's going to resonate with people that doesn't feel like they're arguing to bring somebody back from El Salvador who they've now kind of held up as the poster child for our immigration policy. And I don't think that's where Democrats want to be.
They believe, the White House believes, just that they are following the Supreme Court's order here. They think everybody else has got this wrong and that they've got it right on the word facilitate, and the courts cannot compel them on foreign affairs matters. So they actually think they're in the right, and they're willing to fight that out, I guess, as it goes back through the court system. And as long as they are fighting it out, we're going to have days and days of Democrats, I guess, going to El Salvador to try to retrieve this guy, which plays right into their hands, I think.
Yeah, and it's on taxpayer-funded dollars. The Trump administration, Trump officials could be held in contempt of court for violating Boasberg's orders. So okay. And we're gonna keep carrying on doing the right thing for the American people. And as more and more evidence comes out about who Kilmar Abrego Garcia is, you're going to witness the pivot happen in real time. We saw it last night with Shermichael Singleton on, was it Newsnight with Abby Phillip, where they have the big panel? He said he's revealing all of the crimes that Abrego Garcia had committed, and he's bringing receipts, and you'll watch the Democrats on the panel pivot in real time.
I think it is a political issue. I also think it's a national security issue. Prince George's County in 2019, their gang unit determined that Garcia was an MS-13 gang member. His wife in 2021, the wife that's now giving lengthy testimonies about how great he is, said that he's a serial abuser, and she has a ton of photos to showcase said abuse. I agree, due process is absolutely important. We want to maintain that, but I think there's absolutely enough here to send this guy somewhere else. One, he's already broken the law. We've already established that. Now you do have evidence suggesting that he was a member or is a member of MS-13. He's also a serial abuser. This is not the type of individual I don't think any one of us would want in our country. Nope. He should be deported.
Respectfully, Sir Michael, we can't make it about Kilmar.
Oh, did you hear the pivot? Did you catch the pivot? Sure, Michael. We can't make this about Kilmar. Oh, I thought that's what this was about. It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 10:30 now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. There's construction work this morning, and it's got things all jammed up on 65 northbound right at June Lake Boulevard, exit 55 in the June Lake area. Careful in that area. There are new revelations about Kilmar Abrego Garcia. The Tennessee Star reporting he was stopped by Tennessee Highway Patrol in 2022. Driving erratically and without a license. And 7 others were in his van on their way to Maryland. There was no luggage in the SUV, even though one person in that van was suspected of being on the terrorist watch list. The FBI instructed officers to let them all go free. The Star's Michael Patrick Leahy tells Dan Mandis he's got some follow-up work to do on this story today.
Contact the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security and request that they released all documents, all images, and all video related to this particular traffic stop.
There's no record showing whether the Biden DHS ever followed up on enforcing the matter. Tennessee lawmakers have approved Governor Bill Lee's $60 billion state budget, but they stripped out $60 million in funding for a starter home initiative and $35 million for conservation of the Duck River. They also removed money for nonprofit initiatives. The passage puts the lawmakers closer to adjourning their legislative session. The job market continues to defy economist expectations.
215,000 applications for state jobless benefits were submitted last week, 9,000 fewer than the week before. The less volatile 4-week moving average likewise has dropped back. The Labor Department found the highest unemployment rates in New Jersey, Rhode Island, and California.
ABC's Jim Ryan. That's the latest news. Weather's up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at USS, United Structural Systems. Now, when it comes to home repairs, especially waterproofing, it's easy to ignore these warning signs, right? A little water in the basement, damp walls after a rain, and you just hope it'll go away. But here's the truth. These small problems never stay small. The good news, though, is that United Structural Systems is here to give you that peace of mind. USS has helped over 30,000 homeowners across Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky, and they're not about sales pressure. When their experts show up, you're going to get honest answers from people who care about your home, not care about their quota. Whether it's foundation repair or waterproofing, USS is going to stand behind their work with warranties you can trust. They've been locally owned. They've been in business since 1994, and they're here for the long haul. They're your neighbors. They're the ones that treat you like a neighbor. These guys at USS are the best. So if you see the signs, don't wait. Call who you can trust. Call USS 615-488-7855. 615-488-7855. United Structural Systems, keeping homes dry and stable. You visit USSTN.com. 1036 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Really excited about our next guest. The one and only Savannah Hernandez is joining the show. What's up, Sev?
Hey, Chris. Thank you so much for having me. We haven't talked in so long.
I know. I'm excited to have you. You got a wild story, and it goes in line with what we've been talking about a lot on my show. Just like the insane idea of reducing the bond for people who have done heinous crimes. And I've talked about it ad nauseum when it comes to Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf. He had his bond reduced from, $1 million down to $300,000. He's on the streets. We had a local story here in Nashville where a guy raped two girls at gunpoint and had his bond reduced from $800,000 to $300,000. And I'm not the only one seeing this. And it seems like in a post Black Lives Matter world, is there a black privilege that we're not acknowledging in the court system now?
Well, you know what, Chris? You hit me with the black privilege point, which is where I was not expecting to go with this. But if we are honest with this and look at these statistics, I unfortunately would have to say so. I mean, honestly, looking into local district court judges and the consistent low bond that is set to allow these people to be released back onto the streets is something that I wasn't as I was aware it was happening, but once you start truly looking at it on a local level, you really start to understand why the United States of America can never get cleaned up, why it seems like there's a perpetual cycle of crime in all of our cities. And unfortunately, like, you just asked, if you do look at the statistics of it, it does seem like certain people do get reduced sentences. And I think that's one of my biggest frustrations in 2025 is why is the law not being applied equally? Why can we as Americans not just look at a case legally and apply things, across the board in an equal manner? I don't understand.
No, and I'm with you. And this is why I think your story is so fascinating. So you started digging in on some local judges in Texas. And what you found is pretty shocking. And I'd love for you to kind of deep dive into what your reporting has revealed.
Absolutely. So I started digging into this because I read the headline the other day that the Houston mayor stated that 900 people who have been accused of murder are currently free on bond walking the streets of Houston right now as we speak. Now, this is happening in Harris County, which has the highest crime rate in Texas. And again, if you dig into why that is, it is because these judges all across Houston are continually releasing criminals again and again. And I am finding these horrific patterns in which murderers or criminals who might have been, committing like a felony theft or some other crime that wasn't necessarily murder, then go on to commit murder after they are released from jail on bond. So I dug into Democrat District Court Judge Hillary Unger. And this woman's rap sheet is crazy. She had a pattern in which 8 of the defendants that she ended up releasing on bond went on to commit murder. And unfortunately, that is one of the patterns that's on the lower scale. There are other judges in Texas in which it's, up to 9 to 11 defendants that went on to commit murder. So I don't know what is going on over there or over here. And then again, regarding Hillary Unger herself, let me just run you through some of the people that she's letting out onto the streets. So Jermone Francis, this case happened in 2024. This man is accused of capital murder. Maybe for some of the listeners who don't know what that is when you go and you kill a police officer, and typically the death penalty is a potential consequence of committing capital murder. Yeah. Now, prosecutors can request no bond to be set when this is the charge. However, Hillary Unger decided to set bond, and Jermone Francis was able to post bail and was released. Now, that's one of the more relaxed stories. If we fast forward to, or we go back to 2021, Marquise Ware, this story is just insane, Chris. And I was reading this over and over again to make sure I had the facts right, because I was like, this doesn't make any sense. So this man was charged with a felony. He was given a bond. He was released from jail. He was charged with another felony. Instead of his first bond being revoked, he was given another bond. While he was out on the second bond, he shot and killed the father in front of his 12-year-old daughter. And it gets worse, Chris.
Oh, my
gosh. This
man
was given another bond after the murder, and he was released within the day. That is who is being let out on the streets of Texas. I mean, you have other people who have been charged with capital murder. Andrew Williams is another suspect. After he was released on bond, he went and he ran over a 71-year-old woman after trying to steal her purse. I mean, it's just atrocious what is going on over here in Texas. And then the most recent case is Austin Collette. Now, this man committed a murder back in 2019. And he admitted to it in December of 2024. So he was free on bond awaiting sentencing. And while he was awaiting sentencing, he decided to shoot and kill his girlfriend and then shoot and kill himself in a murder-suicide. That just happened 3 weeks ago, Chris.
How does this keep happening? Like, the meme is that, you know, states like Tennessee, states like Texas were conservative, and you know how conservatives are with law and order. How do we let this fly in conservative states? Like, I would almost expect this in a Baltimore or a New York or Chicago, but in Texas or you know, the cases that we've seen in Tennessee, it's like, why does this happen?
That's a really great question, Chris, and it's one that I am going to be digging into. But so far on the surface level, what I found is that while the conservatives and Republicans are always focused in on national politics, on federal politics, the Democrats are focused in at the local level, meaning they're getting all of these district court judges into the judicial system to make these horrific rulings. They've pushed bail reform. I mean, the Democrats do a very good job of infiltrating at the small local level that the average person might think is super unimportant. I mean, think about this, Chris. When you go and you vote, like, let's say we're both politically uninformed. You go into the voting booth and you're probably just clicking, okay, down ballot, cool. I'm just going to click this button. It doesn't matter who's on the ballot. I'm just going to pick one side or the other. People are not looking into who is on the ballot, who they're voting into office. A lot of times these judges, these Democrat judges, are running unopposed. So the Democrats do a very good job at infiltrating at the local level. Meanwhile, we're focusing in nationally. So, I mean, that personally is something that I'm trying to work on, is what's going on in Texas, because we've also been dealing with a lot of these Islamic compounds that are starting to pop up all over our state. And people are starting to ask the question of, how is this being allowed to happen? I know there's a lot of farmland that has been purchased by the Chinese in Texas. So a lot of sinister things have been happening behind the scenes, but while we're distracted with the federal level issues because we think that, you know, the president has all this power, again, the Democrats are on that local level, and they understand that the true power lies in the small cities, in the small towns, and again, in the district court judges.
Yeah, and for guys like Soros out there that are funding these smaller elections, there's a lot more ROI, return on investment, for these smaller elections, and that's been parsed out many times. There's a lot more value in throwing money behind a judge's election or a AG or a district attorney than there is throwing some money behind a senator.
Exactly. And, you know, this is something that a lot of right-wingers were sounding the alarm bells on before Joe Biden left office. A lot of Republicans ended up going home for the holiday season, you know, during those last couple of months when Biden was president. But what he was doing during that time frame was electing all of these judges behind the scenes. Nobody was paying attention to it. And again, these people, I mean, Chris, I was even looking into Washington, D.C., and a third of their district court judges are foreign born. And oftentimes it's these judges that are the same ones that are blocking Donald Trump's executive orders. So again, we're so focused in on the White House. We're so focused in on Washington, D.C. Meanwhile, the Democrats are like, okay, well, you know, what are other ways that we can obstruct our opponents? And it is via these judges.
So you said in Washington, D.C., a third of the judges are foreign born?
Yes, you need to look into this story, Chris. It's absolutely crazy. This article came from The Federalist, but a third of them are foreign born. Many of them, of course, were elected by Joe Biden or the Obama administration, and these are the exact same judges that come in that have been obstructing Donald Trump, that have been ordering him to return illegal immigrants to the United States of America. Look into who is making all of these decisions. It's absolutely insane. I mean, it's just crazy. Like I said, Chris, I think we've talked about this before, but it's the fact that you can have somebody who's foreign-born in Congress. You can also have foreign-born people serving as judges in the United States of America, and then oftentimes these same judges care more about foreign people and foreign countries than the welfare of the United States and her citizens. So that's why we're seeing so much turmoil. And, I truly think that politics was made so confusing so the average person doesn't understand how it works. So the average person can't get a grasp on how, all of these different levers are pulled, which is why it's good you and I are having this conversation. But it's just truly insane to see how infiltrated we have become from so many different angles.
How do we fight back against this? Is it simply a matter of making sure you're educated on these lower elections and these lower issues as opposed to the national politics, or is there more that you think that we should be doing?
No, I think it really is just that. And I think that, like I said, paying attention to national politics, it's a lot sexier, if you will, than paying attention to local.
That's
but
true.
I think that's what I'm going to, make my new mission. Bringing in local politics, making it more exciting, making it more digestible, making it more enjoyable to consume and understand, because, again, we're focusing too big when we need to be focusing in at home. And this is a message I've heard time and time again from so many people who've been in politics a lot longer than me. And I think in the influencer age, this is the perfect time to try to figure out how to start repackaging this information. Like I said, I'm going to start doing these shorter videos about district court judges. So hopefully, like, hey, that's my district, or, this election is coming up in my city or hometown. Then, go send these videos to your friends, and in 2 minutes, they can learn who is really in office and who is up for re-election.
Without giving away your sources and methods, and I understand Texas is going to be different than Tennessee, but what do you do? How do you dig on a judge? What's the process when you're trying to find out information on the background behind somebody? Like, how do you go about it?
I mean, luckily for me, there's been so many other incredible journalists who have come before me who have already been, chipping away at this and putting the information out there. And unfortunately, it just really never reaches that national level. Honestly, Chris, that's how I get a lot of my stories, is I just find these smaller stories that nobody's really paying attention to. And I'm like, let's put a national spotlight on this. So that's really all it is. I love speaking to other independent reporters. And then also, too, I mean, even further, it's like going through the various court documents, going through various cases, but it really is a combination of so many independent journalists and local journalists who have been chipping away at this for a long time.
And hey, we're grateful for you putting a national spotlight on this. Make no mistake about it. We're talking with Savannah Hernandez. She's an investigative journalist for Turning Point USA's Frontlines. What is next for you in this story? You said you're going to be going kind of one by one through these district judges in Texas.
Oh, yeah, we have 477, Chris. So I don't think that I'm going to run out of content anytime soon. But I'm already working on my next little video. And like I said, I'm just going to start digging into these judges and really trying to bring more eyes on this. Like I said, I'm definitely not the first person to do this. But I just really want to try to use my platform to try to wake up Texans, because our state really is faltering. Our state really is not the stand your ground state. We're strong Texas. We're conservative. Nothing's going to fly over here. No, Texas is a weak state right now. It's quite frankly purple. And I'm going to do what I can to fortify it by helping spread this information.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a lot of red states right now. And Tennessee, I feel the same way sometimes. Even some of the Republicans that we have just seem soft. And it's like, what? This is not the meme that you make it out to be of this big, strong conservative state. And we're a couple elections away from losing it if we don't pay attention.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, it's the same thing as when we talk about, again, the federal government, right, Chris? We love to hype them up. They're awesome. It's great that we won the last election, but now we're in the point where we need to start really being critical of people that we look up to and holding their feet to the fire, making sure they're getting things done. And then, like I said, at the state level, really being informed about what's going on and trying to repackage things for people in a more entertaining way, I guess. You know, people love being entertained, and it's like, okay, let me make a fun little video for you about how horrific Texas is. Like, let's inform people in this way. Good Lord.
Yeah, well, hey, we appreciate you doing it. Savannah Hernandez, again, a great investigative reporter. How can we keep up with you and keep up with your stories, Sev?
Go follow me on X at Sev Says, and go follow the Frontlines account on X as well. Thank you for having me, as always.
Hey, anytime, Sav. That's Savannah Hernandez with Turning Point USA and Frontlines. She's one of the best reporters in the game. Definitely worth a follow at Sav_says. It is 10:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, drivers, fixing potholes in Jolton. So that means 24 westbound at the Cheatham-Davidson County line could see a little bit of a slowdown. Got construction work, stop-and-go traffic starting there at Saturn Parkway in Williamson County. That's 65 northbound at June Lake Boulevard. Google looks like they've lost a court battle in the federal courts. Judge ruling against them. I'll give you the details on that coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I think I speak for everybody when I say, Google, so sad. So sad.
Wow.
It's 10:57 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Everybody understands why you need a water filter.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Betterwater.com. Hey, have you guys been laughing about the commercials as well? Is it just me?
Oh my goodness! Like the ones that are playing on the station right now.
Yeah, and I know if you're watching on the stream, you're not privy to the same commercials that you get on the FM dial, or if you listen on the app. But on the FM dial,
what are we playing? I don't even hear the commercials.
We got so many concerts, but they're like at the opposite ends of the spectrum.
The one they just advertised.
Yeah, so there's one it's like Amy Gill doing Christmas. It's like it's the most wonderful time.
Yeah, it's Vince Gill and Amy Grant for Christmas music.
And then immediately after that, it's like, get ready for Metallica.
Just heavy as all get out, and then in between there.
I don't understand.
We're not even getting cars for kids anymore.
No, we're not getting cars for kids anymore. That's been a letdown. Let's be honest. People miss it. And
bring it back.
If that continues, I'll just play it as an audio clip on my show for everybody that's been fiending for it. Yeah. Because I know my kids miss it. My kids still sing that song all the time. But we can all agree
it's catchy.
The Amy Gill Christmas commercial is far better than the glyphosate commercial.
Oh, absolutely. I'd listen to that daily, every hour.
Glyphosate.
Whatever that stuff is.
Glyphosate. It's the best thing you can put on your Cheerios. That's what I've heard.
Makes your beard grow.
That's what I've heard. It makes it grow an extra arm too if you have too much of it.
Trying to grow a third eye.
Yep. Hey, the Democrats think that this is a popular issue, being anti-deportation. Yet Harry Enton over at CNN says, take a look at the numbers.
All undocumented immigrants, voters favoring the government trying to deport all 11 million of them. Back in 2016, just 38% of voters wanted the government to try to deport all 11 million undocumented immigrants. Compared to where we are in 2025, 56%, the majority. The American people have come a long way on this issue, much closer to Donald Trump, and I think that's a big part of the reason why Americans are increasingly saying the country is on the right track when it comes to immigration policy, and why Donald Trump's net approval rating on that issue is in the positive.
The lady that's always with Harry Enton, she always looks so upset.
She looks like she wants to smack the crap out of him.
She looks so upset. Now, I will say this. It's CNN, right? So those numbers are probably low, right? They said, the effort to deport all 11 million. It's like, okay, maybe 15, maybe 20, right? Let's be real. So I think we could probably do the same thing with, it's 56% approval. It's like, maybe 66, maybe 76%, 86%, probably. But CNN admitting that this is a very popular issue among the American people. The Democrats, for whatever reason, they just don't see it. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. A federal judge says Google is a monopolist in online advertising and broke the law willfully to dominate the market. Talking about Alphabet's Google. This judge says they illegally dominated 2 markets for online advertising technology. The judge out of the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia said in a ruling today Google had broken the law to build its dominance over the largely invisible system of technology that places advertisements on pages across the web. And Google's vice president for regulatory affairs said in a statement, "We won half of this case and we will appeal the other half." New revelations about Kilmar Abrego Garcia. The Tennessee Star reports he was stopped by Tennessee Highway Patrol troopers in 2022, driving erratically and without a license with 7 others on their way to Maryland. There was no luggage in the SUV, even though one person in the van was suspected of being on a terrorist watch list. The FBI instructed the officers to let them all go free. The Tennessee Star's Michael Patrick Leahy tells WTN's Dan Mandis he's got follow-up work to do today.
Contact the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security and request that they release all documents, all images, and all video related to this particular traffic stop.
Now, there's no record showing whether the Biden's Department of Homeland Security ever followed up on enforcing the matter. The Pentagon under scrutiny after a 3rd official has been placed on administrative leave. It's all part of an investigation into alleged leaks at the Defense Department. Here's ABC senior Pentagon correspondent Luis Martinez.
What we do know is that the leak investigation was launched in late March on the very day after Elon Musk visited the Pentagon. And of course, the night before, there had been a major story that Musk was coming to the Pentagon potentially to receive operational plans with regards to the U.S. military with regards to China. So the question is, which of these stories are these individuals tied to, or are they tied to any of them at all?
Now, those 3 officials are the Deputy Chief of Secretary Hegseth's staff, Darren Selnick, his replacement, Colin Carroll, and senior advisor, Dan Caldwell. Along with tariffs, Chinese online retailers will lose an exemption, one that allowed shipments under $800 to enter the U.S. duty-free. That means Shein and Temu will fill some of those steep duties. And as ABC senior White House correspondent Selena Wang tells us, American shoppers going to take notice.
Now, critics of that trade loophole says that it's harmed American businesses like Forever 21, which has filed for bankruptcy. But supporters of that trade loophole say that closing it is going to have a significant impact on American consumers that rely on these kinds of apps for very, very low prices for all sorts of goods.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
It's 11:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Those guys are patriots. If you need a water filtration system or a water softener, you can get it at betterwater.com. Big fans of those guys. And big fans of you listening to the show. Thank you for doing it. We love you guys. This show is not half as successful, not 3/4 of successful, not successful at all without y'all. So please weigh in, whether you're on the Super Text line, the phone lines, or the YouTube chat. We appreciate your input, and I always try to scroll through everything as we're in the breaks, and even during the break sometimes I get distracted. I get squirreled a bit, and I pay attention to your comments as much as we can. But you can watch the show, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. We're live on Super Talk TV. Please do me a solid. Do me a solid. It's free to do. Hit like and subscribe, and then share the show with your friends. If you're on X and you're watching, repost. If you're on Facebook, hit the share button. If you're on YouTube, hit like, hit subscribe, hit share. Do all the things. It'll help send my kids to summer camp.
All of you loved and appreciated.
And Brooks needs a new baseball glove. So I
told him. You can only duct
him,
tape it so much.
I told him, you're going to have to rely on hitting until we get these likes and subscribes up if you want to be a valuable member of the team.
He might have to mow some lawns and build up some calluses.
He might have to. He might have to. So hit like and subscribe. It'll help the kids. I do appreciate it. Did you see what I took my own swing at homeschooling?
Oh, yeah?
How'd that go, Brother Chris?
I thought it went awesome.
All right. What did the kids think?
The kids loved it.
You talking the spaghetti experiment?
The spaghetti experiment.
Oh.
Have you seen this yet, Ken?
No, I have not.
So go over to my Instagram story, at Chris Hand on Air.
Yeah, I watched it between breaks.
Did you? It's good, isn't it?
Good.
All right, so Brooks is learning about the body, right? Learning about organs and stuff like that. Not
fun stuff.
We're homeschooling, so it's not like the weird woke learning about the body. It's
the Chris weird learning about the body.
It's the Chris Hand weird conservative learning about the body. So everything's connected, and God made this wonderful body for us, and it's perfect. It's unbelievable. So I said to Brooks, I said, when you laugh, milk comes out of your nose because your mouth is connected to your nose. He's like, what? That's crazy. I said, I know. It works the other way. He said, it works the other way. I said, it does. It does. I said, and we're eating spaghetti. We're at the dinner table. This is how you know the wife wasn't there. We're at the dinner table. We're eating spaghetti. And I said, yeah, if you were to put the spaghetti up the nose, it would come out the mouth. And nobody believed me. And Brooks is fearless, my 7-year-old.
He was going to find out.
He has no fear in him. This is the kid that he bumped his head on the playground when he was 2, and he had to get stitches, and he laughed as they were stitching him up. that's Brooks.
Tickles.
Exploring a little bit.
So Brooks he grabs a piece of spaghetti. I was like, okay, wipe the sauce off it first, at least. So he cleans off the sauce, and he put that piece of spaghetti up the nose, man. And boy, the shock on his face when he got it through on the other side is worth the price of admission. It's on my Instagram story, at Chris Hand on Air.
Definitely worth a watch.
Now, see, that's a fun class to have.
That's fun, right? Did you watch it?
No,
just doing the news, boys.
I'm just doing the news, boys.
All right.
That's a fun way to teach your kids, man.
The look of shock on his face wasn't it good? Priceless.
And then, whoa. And then the laughter from the other kids. So they want me to send it into America's Funniest Home Videos.
That would be good.
So, who knows, man? You might win.
That'd be good.
Listen, you wouldn't know if I won America's Funniest Home Videos, but there would be signs, right? Like I'd get one of those golden AKs or something like that. Like, sorry, kids.
This is Glockstore.com across the front.
Dad, you said that we could go to summer camp if we won AFV. I'd be like, no, that was about likes and subscribes. So
I filmed the video.
Like the show and subscribe is what we're talking about here. Hey, RFK, speaking of kids, the autism epidemic in this country is just that. It is an epidemic. And we've seen the trajectory. We've seen how wild it's been from, 1 in hundreds to 1 in 35. New numbers now coming out, 1 in 31. RFK had a massive press conference yesterday, right around the same time. We were just getting off the air, and I saw the clips coming through in real time, and I was like, I know RFK, and I know the autism epidemic, and I know what he's probably going to talk about, but I didn't want to try and react in real time. So I said, I'll sit on this. We'll wait, and we'll cover it in depth. But he gave out this unbelievable press conference, and he's responding to the latest CDC numbers on the rise in autism in the United States. And it's scary. this rise. Let's be perfectly honest. The jumps that we're seeing are nothing short of astronomical. And it's quite frankly terrifying. But this is the jumps and the numbers that we've seen, according to RFK.
The ASD prevalence rate in 8-year-olds is now 1 in 31.
1 in 31.
Shocking. There's an extreme risk for boys. Overall, the risk for boys of getting an autism diagnosis in this country is now 1 in 20. And as high in California, which has the best data collection. So it probably also reflects the national trend, 1 in 12.5 boys.
Let that sink in for a second. Let that sink in. He notes that California has the best reporting in the autism world, okay? And in California, it's probably more indicative of what it is nationwide. In California, that's 1 in 12.5 boys with autism. Now, it's a spectrum, right? So we're not talking about all of these boys being nonverbal, okay? And some of these kids with autism, high functioning, and you wouldn't even know it, right? Let's be perfectly real. But 1 in 12.5 is stunning. That means, on average, that if what he says is true, that California has the best reporting, so this is probably more indicative of what it is across the United States. That means every single classroom in this country probably has one kid with autism in it, at least. Sometimes higher. And we're supposed to bury our heads in the sand and not ask hard questions about where this is coming from when we can see the spike shooting up since right around the late 80s, which many of people who have been following this will know exactly what happened in the late 80s, and other people will say it's a coincidence what happened in the late 80s. And maybe it has nothing to do with vaccines whatsoever. But we need to start asking tough questions because these numbers are appalling.
This is part of an unrelenting upward trend. The prevalence 2 years ago was 1 in 36. The ASD prevalence.
So the prevalence 2 years ago, according to the nationwide numbers, 1 in 36. Today, 1 in 31. From 1 in 36 to 1 in 31. And again, the California numbers, RFK says they have the best numbers, 1 in 12.5 boys. The risk is much higher for boys. And then RFK continues on, and he doesn't hold back. You'd never expect RFK to hold back, right? RFK doesn't care about hurting feelings. RFK doesn't care about calling out industries. He doesn't care about calling out the media. And he does just that. And he accuses them in this next clip of covering up many of the environmental factors that are contributing to the rise in autism.
Since the first ADDM report in 1990, which was 1992 births, autism has increased by a factor of 4.8. That's 480%, I believe.
It's insane.
The first ADDM survey was 22 years ago when prevalence was 1 in 150 children. In all the core states, the trend is consistently upward, and most cases now are severe. So about 25% of the kids who are diagnosed with autism are nonverbal, non-toilet trained, and have other stereotypical features, head banging, tactile and light sensitivities, stimming, toe walking, etc. One of the things that I think that we need to move away from today is this ideology that the autism diagnosis, that the autism prevalence increases, the relentless increases, are simply artifacts of better diagnoses.
Did you hear that? He said, let's move away from this ideology that autism increases are because of better diagnoses. You hear that all the time. Well, listen, when it comes to autism, we couldn't see what we see now. We used to just think they were the weird kid and they were just a bit off. But now we know they're on the spectrum. RFK very quickly says that is an ideology that is not going to be helpful, and we need to move away from that because that's not the case. And people can tell you that it's the case, but it's not.
Increases, the relentless increases, are simply artifacts of better diagnoses, better recognition, or changing diagnostic criteria. If you look at Table 3 of the ADDM report, it's clear that the rates are real, that they are increasing in the last 10 years, which is the beginning with the first one. Year by year, there is a steady, relentless increase. I want to, because this epidemic denial has become a feature in the mainstream media.
Yep.
And it's based on an industry canard. And obviously, there are people who don't want us to look at environmental exposures.
The media's been ignoring it. This is an epidemic. He goes on to say, could you imagine the media ignoring the measles? Remember, they've been making a big deal out of measles. Could you imagine if the media took the same focus that they put on measles and put it on autism? Could you imagine if the media took the same stance they had on COVID and put it on autism? Could we get some real media coverage on this? And could we get some real answers? Could we? Well, we've been trying to get answers, and we've been working to get answers. We've been raising a lot of money over the years to get answers, right? Like everybody's seen fundraisers, autism awareness. We've seen the stickers and the bumper stickers and yada yada yada, and that money is going to go to funding this, and we have grants and all sorts of things funding this. But the most infuriating part of this press conference from RFK Jr. is when he talks about how the money that is supposed to be for autism research has been misused and misdirected for years.
There's a recent study by Blaxell et al. And a team of other researchers that said that the cost of treating autism in this country by 2035, so within 10 years, will be $1 trillion a year. This is added to already astronomical healthcare costs. And then there's an individual injury. These are kids this is a preventable disease. We know it's an environmental exposure. It has to be. Genes do not cause epidemics. They can provide a vulnerability. You need an environmental toxin. And Irva Hertz-Pichota pointed out that because of this mythology, that the amount of money and resources put into studying genetic causes, which is a dead end, has been historically 10 to 20 times the amount spent by NIH and other agencies to study environmental factors.
So they've been studying the dead ends with the money that they've been raising, and you have to ask, is that by design? They haven't been looking to what's causing it from the outside. They've been looking inside to genetics, and RFK says that's a dead end. And they've been funding that 10 to 20 times more than any environmental factors. But at the end of the day, and the most emotional part of this press conference would be at the end when RFK says, the impacts that this is having on families is real. And we need real people stepping up with real science to find out real answers.
This is an individual tragedy as well. Autism destroys families. More importantly, it destroys our greatest resource, which are our children.
Amen.
These are children who should not be suffering like this. These are kids who, many of them were fully functional and regressed because of some environmental exposure.
Now, he never comes right out and says it, but we've all heard those stories. We've all seen those stories. I think everybody, maybe I'm overstepping when I say everybody, but a lot of people have friends who have these stories or their own personal stories of you go in for that one appointment and then the smiles stop. And then the eye contact stops. And that regression happens. I don't think there's ever been a more stressful time to be a parent. right? Like, I really don't. What do you do? And he's dancing around the vaccine question, and I think that's probably the smart move to do right now, dance around it. But he alludes to it over and over, and he talks about that regression. But it's so stressful to be a parent right now. It's like, well, what do I do? What do I do? Do I not vaccinate my kids and risk measles and mumps and rubella or all the other things that they're telling me could get them? Or do I vaccinate my kids and then worry about all of this stuff that could be happening? And it's such a tough time because we know that the experts don't exactly have our best interest at heart. We all lived through COVID. It woke up a great number of people. There are experts out there that are good, but there are experts out there that I wouldn't trust as far as I can throw. Stressful, man. RFK says he wants to get to the bottom of it. The impact is real. And the rates at which is going up, at least in RFK's eyes, say that it's got to be environmental and not genetics. He says the increased reporting, the increased awareness, that narrative is BS. So I say all that to say this, at least we have some people asking questions that weren't asked before. At least we have that. At least we have people looking at things in areas where individuals didn't want us looking before. And I do have confidence that we could get some sort of an answer by the timeline that they've laid out, which is, September on that report? September? And I pray that it's good science and that people can trust it. And I pray that if the science comes out, that if it's not what people want to hear, that it doesn't get politicized. Because this isn't about anything other than the kids. Let's be perfectly honest with that. It's 11:24 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand here from my friends at Better Water LLC. I love these guys. And if you're tired of weird smells coming from your water, or maybe your water is staining your clothes, or maybe it's just plain bad tasting water at the home or office, these are the folks you need to call. Think of these guys as installing a giant Brito filter for your whole house or under your sink or even for your entire business. And the guys at Better Water can handle everything. They'll remove sulfur, iron, chlorine, bacteria, even E. coli from your water. This is the water you're drinking, you're bathing your kids, your grandkids in. It's nasty. And they'll take it out. Whether you need reverse osmosis, water softeners, specialized filters, UV lights, Better Water has you covered. They're a local company based right out of Smyrna. They serve all of Middle Tennessee. You've probably already tasted their work and you don't even know it because they treat the water at the local coffee shops and even the hospitals around town. So stop drinking the junk out of your tap. Give Better Water a call today, 615-355-6063, or you can check them out online, betterwater.com. And make sure you tell them Chris Hand sent you. They'll test your water for free. 615-355-6063, betterwater.com.
Into autism when they're
Google loses another court battle over its dominance of online advertising, and Vanderbilt University Medical Center ending DEI policies. These stories and more at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners. You get them at betterwater.com. Shout out to everybody over on the YouTube channel. The chat's jumping today. You see the chat jumping today? Chat's live.
So much.
Shout out to those guys. Everybody on the Super Text line, I see your messages as well. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the conversation. Jeremy wants to talk about schmaxines. What's up, Jeremy?
Hey, buddy. You doing all right today, Chris?
Yeah, man. How are you?
Doing good. Hey, I got two to go over with you. So my son was 2 years old. We took him in to get his vaccines. Got him. He started getting a fever. Next thing you know, we're in Vanderbilt. We're about to get released. He's doing well, and they say, all you got to do is get him to drink something. This was like the third day after his vaccine. He started getting sick the night he got it. Well, they said, get him to drink and you can go home. I got him to drink. He had a seizure in my arms, and,
Jeez.
As a parent, it freaked us out. We're texting everybody in our phone, please pray, please pray. They diagnosed it as a febrile seizure, but he hadn't had a fever in I don't know how long, so that was bogus, but they run every test in the world on him. Well, then come to find out, when I call my mom, she goes, oh, it's nothing to worry about. You had a fever after a febrile seizure after your 2-year-old vaccine, too. And I said, are you kidding me? If you'd have told me this, I would have never done it. Well, we're blessed. He's high functioning. He makes the honor roll. But he even went through, it caused him a period of stuttering, and we're just so blessed and thankful he didn't lose his voice, because my friend who has a 15-year-old nonverbal, he's still got videos on his phone where they saved them in the cloud. At 2 years old, he was talking. He was knowing a few colors, could say a few numbers. He got his vaccine. He started running a fever and stuttering, and within 30 days, he's been nonverbal from 2 years and 1 month old all the way up to 15 years old. Now, his is like one of the extreme scenarios, but I'm sure back in the day, vaccines had good things about them, but I do think they need to investigate more about, the stuff that's been in them recently anyways.
Yeah, I hear you, Jeremy. My heart breaks for those stories, man. I'm glad your son's doing all right. But it's like, the thing is that so many parents have stories like this, and we're shouted down and yelled at as anti-vaxxers. Like, I had a good friend who his son went in for that wellness check, and it's anecdotal. Like, and I'm not a doctor, right? But he went in for that wellness check. The kid was great, talking, eye contact. And then the next day, no eye contact, no more smiles. And it's heartbreaking. And then you get parents that just want answers. They just have questions, and they're shouted down by so many. I think things are changing, and I don't think that those parents and those voices are going to get shouted down anymore. And I think that RFK genuinely wants to get to the bottom of it. I appreciate the call. Jenna in the borough wants to talk about autism. Jenna, hang on the line. I'll get to your call next. It's 11:31 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. First, drivers, got to tell you, the right lane is blocked 24 eastbound at the Rocky Fork Road overpass in Smyrna. It's stop and go starting at Sam Ridley Parkway. And then we got an injury crash here in Nashville, East Thompson Lane at Briley Parkway, South Lake Drive. 65 southbound before I-24 downtown in Talbot's Corner. TDOT says a crash there on the right shoulder between a tractor-trailer and an SUV. Google loses again in federal court. A federal judge today says Google illegally dominated 2 online advertising markets, violating U.S. antitrust laws. It's already in trouble over its Chrome search engine, which the federal government is trying to force it to sell. If today's ruling stands, users could see a wider range of search engines, ad platforms, and other online services, giving them more options for their online activities. Google says it will appeal today's ruling just like it did the search engine ruling. And a chance encounter between Tennessee Highway Patrol officers in 2022 and on I-40 in Putnam County. It involves the Salvadoran man arrested in Maryland and then deported last month.
Driving erratically, unable to maintain its lane, and also speeding. So they pulled him over. The driver was, in fact, the same quote, Maryland man, the El Salvador illegal who was deported.
That's the Tennessee Star's Michael Patrick Leahy speaking with WTN's Dan Mandis this morning. Leahy says officers suspected Kilmar Abrego Garcia was trafficking his passengers, but they were ordered by the FBI to let them go. The FBI, according to Leahy, has not responded to the Tennessee Star's request for an explanation. Elsewhere in Tennessee, Channel 4 says Vanderbilt University Medical Center is out with a statement confirming it is ending all diversity, equity, and inclusion programs to comply with executive actions on DEI. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Handy for my friends at the Glock Store. We got a big event coming up on Saturday, May 31st, the Glock Store's 5th annual open house. It is going to be so much fun. The entire WTN crew is going to be out there, and we want you to join us as well. They do this every year. They open their doors, they invite the top vendors in the industry, and they welcome all of Nashville to join in the fun. This year, they're going to have some fantastic deals that you have to be there to believe. One of the great deals, Burrow bullets, 9mm and .223 ammo at the lowest price ever. They'll have 50-round boxes, 250-round bullet bags, and 1,000-round tac packs that come in a Burrow bullet ammo box. Again, at the lowest price ever. And yes, Burrow, as in Murfreesboro, these are local bullets. Buy your bullets local, please. Do it at the Glock Store. The most important thing about being a safe, responsible gun owner is training, and you can't train without that ammo. More details on the Glock Store's 5th annual open house as the date gets closer. But for now, just save the date, Saturday, May 31st, for the Glock Store's 5th annual open house. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere, especially on 531.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
This is an individual tragedy as well. Autism destroys families. More importantly, it destroys our greatest resource, which are our children. These are children who should not be suffering like this. These are kids who, many of them were fully functional and regressed because of some environmental exposure into autism when they're 2 years old. And these are kids who will never pay taxes. They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball. They'll never write a poem. They'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted. And we have to recognize we are doing this to our children, and we need to put an end to it.
And to that I say amen, Secretary Kennedy. It's 11:39 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Hope you're doing well. Show's brought to us by Better Water LLC. Great guys. We're talking about this press conference that RFK had yesterday where he's highlighting the autism numbers that have just absolutely ballooned since the late 80s. Ballooned. In the last 2 years, we went from 1 in 36 to 1 in 31 kids with autism. If you trust some of the reporting out there, RFK highlighted in this press conference in California, which he says has the best reporting numbers in boys, it's 1 in 12 and a half. 1 in 12 and a half. Jeez. So we just want to ask questions. RFK says it's not genetics. We're wasting money looking at genetic causes for this, and he's saying it's environmental. There's something out there, doesn't say what, but there's something out there that's causing this. And the toll that it's taking on American families and American kids is heartbreaking. Got a text here from 9842. He said, Chris, what you don't hear about is adult autism. They're forgotten. My son was a 1 in 1,000 back in 85 after the adverse reaction of an MMR vax. Thank you, Bobby Kennedy. I feel like a lot of parents who feel silenced on this issue are looking at RFK today and saying the exact same thing. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you. At least somebody's not afraid to ask these questions or look in places where we weren't supposed to look before for answers. And I think RFK is a brave guy, and he's ready to go. He's ready to go. Got a couple other people texting in. 9336 was talking about our caller Jeremy, who called right before the break and said his little boy's going through the same thing, and he's going to play that call for his wife. Make sure we podcast that one, all right? And I got a lot of people waiting on the line that want to talk about this as well. Jenna in the borough, you're up first. Thank you for holding, Jenna. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I just have two quick comments. I, like many parents, have a 4-year-old little boy, nonverbal, and also diagnosed as autistic. A lot of the same stories that you've heard lots of times. And I just have two comments. One is my son is my fourth child, and my other 3 children are typical. And I did the exact same thing with all 4 of my babies. I nursed them all for over a year. We did the vaccines for all 4 children. And when my 4th child, whom was hitting all of his milestones, received his MMR vaccine, and I believe he also received about 4 other vaccines that day because the pediatrician had recommended, hey, it's safe to compound these, it'll be fine. And the very next day, as you have mentioned, he stopped talking. He regressed, and it's been a devastating event on our family. And luckily, I have lots of support. But it's just, to me, it comes across, as Kennedy says, as an environmental factor because I've done the same thing with all 4 of my children, and my other 3 didn't have any issues. We've also completed genetic testing, and his genetics are all normal. So I for one, am excited to see the research being done on the environmental side of things, because I do feel like that's a valid point that needs to be looked into. And then second comment is I've taken my child to multiple children's hospitals in the area, and you go in crying and you go in defeated, and there's no answers and there's no hope. And I think with RFK, like you said, everybody's just so appreciative. And when you're a parent in this situation, it's very lonely because as the 1 in 12, 12 and a half statistics, there are plenty of other families who you see their children hitting the milestones. And it's completely heartbreaking. And, you really only have your spouse to rely on.
Yeah.
And I've even heard statistics where about 3 years after you have a child diagnosed as special needs, there's a higher likelihood of the parents getting divorced. And that's heartbreaking in and of itself as well. So I think for me, just seeing this additional research, it's honestly given me a fresh perspective and a shot of hope that maybe we'll have answers, more so than even going to the doctor's visits and just being told, nope, I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. We're just going to have to see how he does, and then go home to my nonverbal 4-year-old child whom was perfectly normal, and as Kennedy said, he can't care for himself. He can't clean after himself. He can't go to the restroom. And
it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking.
And my heart breaks for you as you're telling me your story. And I'm so grateful you called in to share. But it's like your story is very similar to a lot of stories I've heard.
Yes.
And I think the thing that's crazy is the fact that you're equating this to what happened at the wellness check would get you labeled as an anti-vaxxer. But if you look at your history, what you're saying, you were never an anti-vaxxer.
Correct.
You weren't. And so many times with parents, you'll see these moms and dads get labeled an anti-vaxxer. And it's like, no, you're wrong. Like I was very pro-vax. Until this incident happened, and it changed my whole perspective on the situation. And I wonder if you could speak to that a little bit when you kind of had that light bulb moment where you thought maybe it was this.
Yeah. So I'm a chemist by trade, and so naturally I do a lot of research. I'm a nerd, and so when my child was not hitting his milestones, I pushed, which was sad in and of itself, that you have to push your pediatrician for additional testing.
Yeah.
And, because by the time you have kid number 4, you kind of feel like, I kind of know what's normal.
Yep. I got 4. Yeah. You you get into a rhythm, you know where it's going to go, what's happening.
Right. Exactly. And so he received the vaccines and he ran a really high fever, and he had never had a fever with his other ones. And so that kind of stood out to me at the time. But typically when you get your vaccines, they'll say, oh, that's kind of normal. Just give him some Tylenol and he'll be fine. You know?
And then we don't have to go down the Tylenol rabbit hole either.
Right. Yeah, right, exactly. And so then after that, he quit talking, and when I say talking, I mean blabbling. About 18 months.
Yep.
And I've even, like the other caller said, you look at videos and you can see the eye contact, you can see the personality, you can see him coming through, and then after that, it completely regressed. And so me as a researcher, just reading about the autism and learning about the things, the typical stimming and the behaviors associated with it began to stick out to me. And so I pushed to see a specialist at the Children's Hospital, and they're like, oh, well, let's do some genetic testing. So we did that, and if you do genetic testing, they have a subset of genes that they've already identified. It's kind of like, okay, these are the main autism mutations.
Yep.
And so they looked at that subpanel, and all of his genes were completely normal. There were no mutagenic genetic, anything that was abnormal. We've also had EEGs and brain MRIs, and there were no tumors. There were no seizures. There was nothing that would indicate any type of brain abnormality. And so in talking to my husband, you feel a lot of guilt of what have I done? What could I have done differently? And, I'm just thinking, I took the same prenatal vitamins for all 4 of my children because I had a sensitive stomach, and so I had to really be picky about which ones I could take. And so I took the same prenatal vitamins. I had the same OB. I did the same thing in terms of, don't eat sushi, don't eat raw sandwich meat, all the things. And I'm not even what one would call health conscious or crunchy or anything like that, or an anti-vaxxer, as you've mentioned. Because I did it for all 3 of my other ones, and I nursed all of my babies and loved every minute of it. And then just, it just went downhill from there. And
so you look at it and you're like, everything's been the same except for this one moment in time. And then it seems like then at that point you're in an uphill battle, right? Like at that point, people don't want to listen to what you have to say because of the stigma that's associated with it. Does that hurt when that happens?
Oh, absolutely, it hurts because you go in and I'm an intelligent person, and I come in and I feel like I'm judged as an idiot. I feel like I'm judged as a bad mother when your child is having a meltdown out in public, and it's like, I can't reason with my child. I can't discipline my child the same way because he just mentally cannot comprehend it, and
it wouldn't be fair.
And it wouldn't be fair. And this is Autism Awareness Month, and I've spoken to a few other parents about it, and it's just like, I think one of the things that hurts is just that the community isn't necessarily aware, because as a conservative Tennessean growing up here my whole life, if you saw a child having a temper store, you would think, that kid needs a spanking and then he'll be fine, And now it's just not like that. It's like that child is autistic and he can't say and he can't regulate, Mama, I would like a piece of candy there at the store for sale, know? And so it's heartbreaking, and it's scary planning for the future, because my husband and I are in our 40s, and we think, what does this mean for our retirement? Are we always going to have an extra child to take care of even when he's older, because he'll be mentally develop me behind, and what does it mean for our other children? And they've called siblings of autistic children glass children, because they oftentimes get overlooked and seen through, and that's even more heartbreaking, because like my big kids, I can't always go to school functions with them and sports functions and things like that. And they'll say, well, I understand, Mom, because of, our other boy. And that is it's just another layer of pain to add on top of everything. And it's just, my heart goes out to the other ones. I try to be as encouraging as I can to other parents, but when you're pouring from an empty cup, oftentimes it's just like, let me cry with you.
Yeah. I mean, your story kills me, Jenna. But I'm so grateful that you called in to share it. Because I don't think as heartbreaking as this sounds, I don't think your story is as unique as it should be.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people have a similar story, a similar trajectory, and similar worries and fears and concerns. And I'm really grateful for you calling in, Jenna. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate you opening it up. I hope this is a good push in the right direction, and I'm looking forward to September's results.
Me and you both. Appreciate it, Jenna. God bless. I'll be praying for you and your family. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's 11:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 11:57, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh my God,
my name is Chris Ann. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Hey, guys.
Matt Murphy's in here.
The Murph.
Chad's in here. What are you doing? Go. Now you got to grab a mic.
Hey, come on over, dude.
Go stand in the spot where nobody can see you.
That's it.
On the stream. That's the move. What's up, Murphy?
Just classing up the joint. How are y'all?
Thank
You
you.
are classing
Thank
it
you.
up.
What are you doing?
I'm in flip-flops.
Oh, I need Mike back. Oh, no.
Oh, no. You got ED.
You got the
Oh,
floppy.
no. I need to call
floppy
Tennessee
mic.
Men's Clinic.
You got floppy wiener.
See what's going on there.
What's up, dude?
What's up with y'all?
What are you
up to,
doing in
man?
here so
Going
early?
on? I host a little podcast called Nashville Forward, a Cumulus Media public affairs program.
Oh.
And
Who'd you talk to today?
I talked to Dina Ivey, who is the head of the Convention and Tourism Bureau in the city of Nashville.
Oh, nice.
Very interesting conversation. Cool. She said that when she got her job, this is kind of funny. When she got her job, it was in the late 90s, and her primary job was to promote Opryland, right?
Okay.
That was her primary job.
That's it.
A month later, Opryland closed. And she literally went to her boss and was like, what am I supposed to do now? And he's like, I don't know. We got to figure it out. And that's kind of where Music City USA started. So
There you go.
I love
That's
it.
cool.
I love it.
Anyway.
Have you ever seen the Fox 17 Sunday morning show, Nashville in Focus?
I have.
So I've watched that show a few times, and every time I watch that show, I think to myself, I really wish Murphy was on this panel to crush liberals. Have you ever thought about going on that show?
I'll do anything.
We should all go on it. Take them all
Come on, let's go.
With just the three of
make
us?
it happen.
Let's take them on. We'll have them bring their three. It'll be like the Family Feud.
Can I bring up something to the party
Please
that
do.
I don't think anybody else is discussing that we discovered yesterday afternoon? Y'all know, everybody's talking about the Gayle King thing, right? The ride into space.
Yeah.
And then Gayle got all pissy about it because she said, don't call it a ride.
Yeah.
And literally said, when Alan Shepard went into space, they didn't say what a ride.
Yeah.
Y'all do know that we discovered this yesterday. You know the first thing that Alan Shepard said to a reporter who said, how was it? His literal quote was, what a ride. It was the front page of the New York Daily News.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was known. What a ride. It was on T-shirts or whatever.
And she's saying, well, we call it the Shepherd because we took the Shepherd Pass. Well, you should know that Alan Shepard said, what a ride, when he got off. Not when he was,
Oh, it's such a ridiculous.
You're still angry about these ladies, aren't you?
Well, I mean, I just don't understand why you have to make it some sort of glass ceiling shattering event.
It wasn't. And by the way, I say the same thing about William Shatner. You went up and you came back down. You weren't up there like those people went up for 5 days and stayed for 9 months.
No, and William Shatner would be the first to tell you, yeah, I took a ride into space.
Yeah. Yeah. Just because you're on an airplane doesn't make you a pilot.
No, that's true.
Right?
That's true.
There you go.
Could make you a flight attendant.
Could.
Sure.
What do you got coming up?
I don't know. We're going to talk about
I'm glad he says that to you because that's what I say to him.
I have no idea. It's going to be, I don't know. We're going to talk about dishwashers.
All right.
I'm serious. Number one thing that counselors say is coming into marriage counseling, you don't load the dishwasher right, and that is causing a problem.
Wow. Well, I am the dishwasher, and normally when I wash dishes, I'm loaded.
Oh, look at that. Well, there you go. Hey, be here all week.
Chad's in next, 12 o'clock, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.